Welcome to the Redvee TV Show, supported by Chapel House for the 2023 season. I told you to come incognito, Kev. You blew it.
It's not. Oh, but I thought we were anonymous.
Can't get the staff.
Oh,
Never mind, eh? Never mind. How are we going to waffle now if people know who we are?
I don't know. I don't know. How we're going to spout? Oh no, I won't actually say what was said. But yeah, exactly. Thought people knew who ran the account.
And listen, if you keep winding up opposition fans, I'm going to take that Twitter account off you.
You should have seen what I had ready for if Morgan Knowles had got off that ban today.
Oh well, right. Listen, before we get going, quick one. We will post or we will put up. Chapel House, our wonderful sponsors, have joined forces with No Duff UK. They are a local community interest company founded by Dean Owen, who recognised the need to support both serving and retired forces members who suffer from PTSD and help remove the stigma around mental health issues from their time in the military. And they are based in the Wonderland Community Centre, directly opposite the Chapel House St Helens dealership. So if you do need any help with your any mental health issues, give them a shout, and they might be able to help you. It's not just for armed forces, ex-armed forces. So yeah, good work, Chapel House. If you want to read more of that
Yeah,
story, it is
very good work.
on the Redvee website, which I will put the address in the comments and the notes below.
Yeah, we've seen that they're on Twitter as at no duff one, just the number one, NODUFF, and then the number one. Excellent stuff.
Right then, shall we get straight to it then, Kev?
Why not?
Saints 21-man squad to take on Huddersfield on Thursday evening. It was originally a 20-man squad, but unfortunately, one man hasn't beat the ban.
Yeah, Morgan Knowles has been unsuccessful in challenging the grading of his match penalty charge, is it they call it these days, or match penalty notice. So he misses out. Jake Wingfield also misses out, who you would think would have been a shoe-in to get some game time. He has been doing over the past couple of weeks. Ben Davies is out after picking up a knock and will be missing for 6 weeks. And Dan Norman also drops out, with Will Hopewati, Siona Matautia, Conrad Harrell, and Wesley Bruins making up the numbers.
Mr. Unbeaten is back in the squad. Put
He's
your
in for a tough
house, your
one.
mortgage, everything you own on a Saints victory if that man is in the lineup. Maybe not.
Maybe not at the moment. Maybe not at the moment. It'd be a tough one, this, mate. Be a tough
Yeah,
one.
is that the strongest Saints squad of the season so far?
Yeah, it is. And that's it. If you've put Morgan Knowles in there as well, if he'd have been successful, you'd have been going there thinking, well, there's not too many excuses you can throw at this. Yeah, it might be the first time that we see a couple of combinations together, but that is a very, very strong squad. And even with Knowles missing, you fancy James Bell to play at 13. A position that, as Paul Wellens has said this week, is the position that he's used to playing. He's played most of his rugby at. So, listen, that's a good one. We just need to find a way to make the attack and defensive effort click properly and stop giving teams chances. I know teams do get chances during games, but cut out the mistakes and make them earn their efforts at our try line.
Yeah, obviously you went well last week, Kev. We missed you. But Mr. Cunningham ably stepped in to discuss the game on the fan reaction. And we weren't ourselves in attack. It took a while to click. We just looked like we were panicking a little bit. Do we just need to realise that we just need to follow the processes that have been so successful for us?
Yeah, definitely. And that's it. I know it's difficult. Like I talk about combinations and players on the edges where you're playing with different centre and wing combinations. It was always going to happen last week once Mark Percival pulled up in the warm up. That if you're moving Tommy Makinson into centre and bringing T Ritson in, all of a sudden on that right hand side you've got Ben Davies and T Ritson who've never played together as a centre wing combo, or I wouldn't have thought, even if they played together in friendly games or whatever, they've not spent much time doing that. Tommy Makinson, John Bennison, I'd say have spent even less time as a combination centre wing. So you're always going to get that where you're a little bit clunky in attack. Listen, as we say, that squad's strong enough now, and let's hope that helps our halfbacks to be able to kind of put on a show.
Now, assuming everybody's fit, Kev.
Yeah.
You try picking your wingers and your centres out of that.
Oh, you know what? We're in a group chat, aren't we? And a couple of people I think have tried. It's really tough because you'd obviously say if everyone's fit, you go in Makinson, Harrell, Percival, Hopewati. I think that's what you're going for, but I think that is extremely harsh on John Bennison because he's just gone and won 3 points in the Man of Steel awards, and I've been saying it's very harsh for him to be dropped because it's his jersey. He's the one in possession. He's the one being given the number 5 shirt. We've not saved it for a signing. We've put him into it. Whether he's a natural winger is another thing. But listen, he's out there doing a job, and he's doing it very well at the minute. So it will be extremely harsh to drop him.
Was that, Kev? Was that always the ethos under Christian Wolff that if it was your shirt to lose?
Yeah. And I said that at the start of the season with Connie, that listen, if everybody's fit and well, and people think, well, you play your squad numbers, don't you? Your first 13 are your starting 13, and then the rest are vying for bench spots. So I get that, and I agree with that ethos. It's just whether we'll go with getting Will Hopewati a bit of game time, because do you leave a player like Will Hopewati out? You need to play him. He's one of your overseas players. It'd be really tough on whoever drops out there. As it is, I can almost see us turning around and saying to, say, Mark Percival, little bit of a shorter turnaround with it being a Thursday. Don't worry about it. We'll play Will Hopewati in the centres, and John Bennison will keep his shirt out on that wing.
And that was my next point. I suspect from what Wello said in interviews this week about he could play, but if he doesn't, he'll play next week, and they'll just be cautious. Just be cautious. When you've got that much of a dilemma on who to pick, it's made easy for you by somebody having a small knock. Just don't risk them. Listen, you've got Wakefield next week. You can potentially say, keep your slippers on and rest up for Wigan.
Possibly. You probably want to start us clicking going forward and in defence and getting that right. So I can't see that happening. But you're right for this week. Little bit of a shorter turnaround. I know it's only a day, but little bit of one. Listen, don't bother travelling over, Mark. You sit in front of the telly or get some jobs done around the house, mate. Do whatever you need.
You're not even going to let him watch?
No. I would. It's whether his missus does. He might have stuff that he needs to do. But listen, just take it easy, mate. Don't have to to strain yourself going over to Huddersfield and playing. We've got a squad there that you can throw lads in, and it's not as if we're throwing in a player who isn't isn't an experienced player. So yeah, I can see Percy missing out.
The Conrad potentially being used as a forward option off the bench, given the players we got missing.
Can I see what? Sorry, I missed you then.
Conrad off the bench in a forward role, or
No.
being utilised centre off.
Conrad, no centre. Just play him in the centres. He's not a forward. Play him in the centres.
Who are the four that miss out for you? I'm going to go Bruins, given the fact he wasn't even in the 21 man. We're just throwing a name on who's done well. George Delaney, who is doing massively well when he's out on dual reg at Swinton. I think he's had a couple of man of the matches, wowing their fans, and he appears to have moved himself up the pecking order at the moment ahead of Dan Norman. Is that fair to say?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I think so. I think unless Dan's got a knock as well, because Dan was over at Swinton, it looks just on the face of it that George has moved ahead of him.
So there's two missing out this week. I'll go Sam Royal as another. Okay. And I'm going to go T. Ritson as the other. And again, another who's done nothing wrong to be left out this week.
So you're saying Percy plays?
Yeah, Percy misses out. Who's the 18th man? T. Ritson, like last week, if he is.
Yeah, I'd say T. Ritson's 18th man. I think Percy, Delaney, and Bruins miss out. I think with Wingfield and Knowles missing, I think Sam Royal gets in the 17 as a second row option. And it just means that you can kind of rotate your second rowers. And if you need to put someone in at 13, I know we played Louis there. I'd rather play kind of one of our more mobile second rowers there. He'd kill me for saying that, but he's 37 now. He had a great stint from what I've seen off the bench on Friday. But I just see Sam Royal being in that 17-man squad.
Yeah.
And before we move on, Joey Lussick getting game time. We've been banging on about it for weeks. Yeah, I've said he should start, but the fact that he's come on and shown what he can do is only good for the club as a whole. It takes pressure off people. It takes pressure off James Roby. It takes pressure even off the lads coming through behind him, because they're not going to get flung into a game because he's not performing. He's showing his form that he had at Salford, and it's great to see.
Yeah, listen, I wouldn't say we've been massively critical, but you've said you've wanted to see more, and last week he showed that. And obviously there is the talk around at the moment, isn't there? Every hooker in the world is being linked with St Helens. There's too many jokes there somewhere. But the big two names are obviously Darryl Clark.
Yeah.
Who is, everybody in St Helens seems to believe has been offered a 2-year deal and only 1 year at Wire. Listen, that's what I would be saying if I was his agent as well and wanted a better deal at Wire. Sure. Listen, but great hooker. Why wouldn't you be interested in the market if you'd after one for next year? And then the other is Cruz Lehman, who was apparently seen at the Pick and Mix aisle in Tesco before the game on Friday night and has been seen cruising around St Helens. And with the news this evening that... Sorry, I'm talking about cruising around St Helens and hookers. I can't... the news this evening that he is likely to go to the NRL until the end of the year to play under Justin Holbrook. Is it potentially set up nicely for him to arrive at Saints next season? You could make narratives to fit any scenario. Of course
you can. That's the thing. That's the thing. You can, and I'm sure we'll go through the whole range of transfer rumours between now and an actual announcement of if James we are going to start anybody. Yeah, James will be playing on or whatever. Yeah, exactly.
The year is 2063. And James Roby commits to his 45th year in the Redvee. Hang on, no. 40 years from now. What's that? 60th year in the Redvee.
Yeah, good maths.
The RFL have allowed Zimmer frames onto the field.
He wouldn't need
and James still doesn't look a day older than he currently does now.
Yeah, true.
Threw myself tonight. Right, Kev. Huddersfield squad.
Yes.
Talk us through
it. Jake Connor's back in it for the first time this season. Not ready for a full 80 minutes, according to Ian Watson. Sam Halsall and Innes Senior also made the first appearance of the season in that squad. Josh Jones, formerly of this parish, failed his HIA, so won't appear. And Matty English is still not ready for his return. And I have read that all courtesy of GiantsRL.com because I had no idea who was missing from the squad apart from Jake Connor coming in. One name that has been mentioned by Wello in his media duties this week is Kev Nagama.
Kevin Nagama. Ooh. You're up to sing that song either.
No, I think it was. I think, as Wello says, it was a bit of a shock when he got the deal back at Huddersfield, considering he was going over. He was going to retire. Then he turned out, was it for the Roosters? Then he decided that he was coming back over here. And listen, if he still feels he can do it, and he's getting his just rewards for it, then fair enough. You can't
we were at a couple of forums, weren't we, before he went back, and he genuinely was hanging up his boots.
Yeah.
But obviously the chance came in the NRL. He's had a second lease of life. Listen, the man's won us a grand final.
The man has. His first touch in a Saints shirt was scoring a try, and his last touch in a Saints shirt was scoring a try. One to open the scoring against Wigan, and one to win us the grand final.
First try scorer bet on Thursday night then. Kevin Nagama. Kevin Nagama first try, Saints to win.
Not bad. But yeah, listen, when he was here, Wolfie said that there was, like, he had every right to go into Christian's office and say, listen, I want to go home, because he was finding it a little bit tough. I think they just had a little one. It was all the lockdown bits that he couldn't go, he couldn't be at the birth, all things like that. And he said at any given time he could have, but he didn't. And as you say, he was ready for hanging up his boots, ready for retiring. I think he'd already planned out his retirement. I think he's a carpenter by trade. So he had all that.
It definitely wasn't an act. It wasn't an act to say he was going to retire, was it?
No, absolutely not. And
if it was, it wasn't wooden.
Oh no!
You can have that one for free.
Yeah, I will do. Just make a quick note of it. It's I forgot what I was going to say. Move on. Yeah, Kevin Nagama, good lad, won us a grand final. He went with our blessing, and hopefully he has a good season for Huddersfield, just not against us.
Unless we've got him for first try, and then he can get the points on the board, and then we'll take the victory.
Correct.
You do know we're going to have to back that now, don't you?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, right. Huddersfield haven't had the greatest start to the year, a little bit like us, underachieving.
I feel like they're not score. Well, the games, and people can prove me right. I'm going to have a look at the scores here, but I just feel like every time I look at Huddersfield's scores, they're not like blow-away results. So yeah, well, I suppose Cass is the only one that have been, like, as I say, a blow-away result.
Yeah, aside from that, they haven't scored more than 16 in a game. 12 against Wigan, 16 against Warrington, and 8 against Wakefield, but on that pitch. So
yeah. So listen, I think it's going to be quite an attritional game. I think it'll be quite a tough game. We're not in great form for whatever reason. It's not clicking. They've got a plan, and they try and compete and complete sets high. They try and keep their completion rate high, which is something we need to do because I feel like we're not doing at the moment. I feel like we're not kind of getting through our sets and making sure, and making sure that we get a high completion rate to kind of force a team into an error rather than us trying to throw it about and making errors ourselves.
I feel this is a massive week for us in terms of seeing exactly where we're now up to. And obviously, us and Huddersfield sit 5th and 6th. We've played a game less than Wigan and Salford, who are 3rd and 4th in the table and play each other on Friday night. So there's all of a sudden a chance to get yourself up the table. Level with either 3rd or 4th. Well, level with 4th with a game in hand. And obviously with Wakefield to come next week, you feel like if we manage to win Thursday night, we've got the Whipping Boys next week, and then it's all set up for a rocking Good Friday for the first time in 4 years at Wigan.
Yeah, could be. We all know rugby league doesn't always work like that. But yeah, if we can get a result over at Huddersfield, and then, as you say, you would fancy us, even if we are scratchy against Wakefield.
Fancy us with me. You on the wings, Kev?
Fair enough. I wouldn't. Mind you,
I would.
Nobody's getting round me.
With a Johnny Lomax cutout pass, I'd just drop over the line.
Yeah,
catch a ball.
Yeah, fair enough.
Not sure my defensive efforts would be great, but there we go.
Yeah, they'd be able to run through me, but they wouldn't be able to get round me. It'd take them too long.
Why do we keep picking on Wakefield, Leeds, Huddersfield, Warrington? Oh, hang on, it's everyone.
Yeah.
Don't get precious people.
Yes, correct.
Bands, Kevin. Now, you said you wanted to have your say on this one. Now, for anybody who's followed our Twitter account, it was put out as a question, was it an 8-point try? John Bennison in the act of scoring, and Davy Litton has come across and attempted to make the tackle with his legs. Your thoughts, Kevin?
It takes me kind of back about 10, 11 years to a game against Bradford at Odsal, where Jamie Foster was trying to defend Elliot Whitehead, putting the ball down and kicked him in the head. Now, I know Litton hasn't kicked Bennison in the head here. I know that hasn't happened.
No, his ribs instead.
His ribs instead. But he's tried defending instead of with his hands, with his legs, and made that movement. For that, it was an 8-point try. So, try is given, kick at goal, and then they got the penalty for the foul play. That goes down a very similar route. I've seen people say that it's a running motion. If that's a running motion, please get yourself down to your local athletics club where they will teach you how to run. It's a motion that is. Listen,
it's natural. Like, it's a natural reaction. You want to stop somebody getting the ball down, and you stick your leg out.
Yeah, it's like a grab when somebody grabs them high and they do it and they put their hands up and go, yeah, sorry, I've not meant it. It's just a natural reaction. That's all it is. It's not malicious. I'll get that out. It's not malicious, but it's still foul play. Yeah. It is still foul play. So the issue now is, say that happens on Thursday and Tommy Makinson tries doing the same to Kev Nagama, and it gets given that there's a penalty in front of the post after it. Now we're turning around and saying, well, that ref's got it wrong, so what's going to happen? And consistency is key. And this is the issue with it all. Consistency is key. Anyone who says that it was just an accidental coming together, what they are, they're part of the problem. People saying that isn't an 8-point try, from what we've seen given as 8-point tries, are part of the problem. They're part of the inconsistency. The part of players getting bans for, especially in the past when bans were higher, because they're saying, leave it. And they're letting things escalate and escalate. And this is the problem with it. Some of the stuff that I've seen on social media saying that it isn't an 8-point try, I mean, it's from people who are pie in the sky anyway. But some of it is just, it's almost like a non-understanding of rugby league. The fact that, listen, yes, it's an action, a natural action. It's not a running action at all. It's a lunge towards him. It's not malicious at all. It's a natural thing, but it still should have been penalised. We had a video ref.
The reason I first put it up, Kev, the reason I actually first went and looked is, hang on, what's up there? Is because after the try scored, if you wind the footage forward a little bit, you see John Bennison get up, holding his ribs in pain because he's been caught.
And people don't want players staying down. So Bennison bounces up, holding his ribs, yeah, because he's just took a whack in him. But he's done the right thing because he's just got up. Has he done the right thing?
Well, if he stays on the floor clutching his ribs, it's looked at.
Yeah. Now,
and we don't. And listen, we don't. Can I just point out we don't want the game getting like that?
Correct.
But here's the next question, Kev. It appears that the video ref only looks at what the referee asks him to look at. Now, the issue is, if the referee hasn't seen the foul play, but the video ref can, why isn't the video ref just picking it up and telling him? Because it happens at other points, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think there needs to be a complete overhaul of how we use it anyway. I always think the rugby union are a lot better than us at using a video ref. The TMO, I think they call it, they will literally turn around and say, I've seen something in that play, and show it on the big screen, and the ref will talk through what he sees as well, and then what decision's going to be given. And I just feel like we're not there with that. Absolutely not there with it. But yeah, if people think that isn't a foul, and listen, if that had have happened to if this was Red Robin podcast, if this was whoever, don't know if Wakefield have got one, or Cass, or whoever had one of this, our mates over in Leeds were saying exactly the same thing because this happened to their winger, Ash Hanley, I'd be saying, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Because it's a foul. If that was John Bennison on Lytton, I'd be going, you can't do it. You can't do it. It's frustrating when you see people not understanding that is foul play and people saying it's not. And then the match review panel turning around saying, well, actually, he's used legs, so we're going to charge him for it and fine him for it. It makes a mockery of how we use the system. And all we want is consistency. If we can get consistency in reffing and decisions like that, which are decisions that can be seen on the big screen and can be reviewed or should be reviewed, then why aren't we doing it? I don't want to re-ref games necessarily. But if there's a pair of eyes there who can see stuff that you go, do you want to have a little look at that and see? Then I think that makes sense.
That is Jerry Springer's final thought.
Yes.
Right, Kev, predictions?
Low scoring Saints by a score.
I'm going to say Saints by 8. 20 points to 12. Take that.
If we're going to go scores, then I will go Saints 14.
14?
Yeah, Huddersfield 8.
14, Kev, the knives will be out.
Doesn't matter if you get the win. Just get the win at the moment.
Unfortunately, some aren't happy with just winning, are they? Right, we will be back on Thursday evening from, I'd imagine, a very chilly Huddersfield stadium with the instant fan reaction. Kev, I'll see you Thursday. We'll post a picture of the away end.
Yes.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And the Anonymous 2, we'll catch you soon.